Chalk up another dub for the Locky Two-Step and Locky Trinity at UFC 303 as Ray Saruya and Ian Gary get the job done for us at plus 116, and then Martin Budai brings it on home in the for the Locky Trinity, cashing at plus 194. I was very happy with that, as I was very close to considering in terms of throwing Ricky Simone into one of those spots instead, and he ended up being the only defeat that I took on the card. Thankfully, I did end up going with those three instead. This week, obviously, I got another two Locky Two-Step and Locky Trinity for you guys. A reminder, I do drop these on Monday evenings for the folks over there on the Patreon page. Sometimes, more often than not, we do see a better line earlier in the week, but this week we actually got the reverse CLV in this spot, as there has been some action against some of the guys on this parlay. So this time, you guys lucked out if you weren't on the Patreon and waited to actually lock it in later this week. Let's hope we can actually take it to the betting window and cash these tickets. All right. Without further ado, let's get right into it. First step up is going to be Montel Jackson as he goes up against Damon Blackshaw. And this is one of the fights where we saw some reverse CLV. I locked in Jackson closer to that minus 150, minus 160 range. He's currently around that minus 135 range now, as a lot of people are loving the takedown approach that Blackshaw could take here to try to replicate what Ricky Simone and Brett Johns were so successful with, which led to Jackson's only UFC losses. But I think we'll see some improvements from Jackson in that realm, and it could be competitive early, but I do think he has the edge in the striking, which will showcase in the second and third rounds, especially as Blackshaw starts to slow down, as he is known to do. I think they'll eventually lead to Jackson landing some big shots and putting Blackshaw out in this matchup, or if it ends up going to the scorecards, we could even potentially see a draw, just as we saw in Blackshaw's UFC debut against Yusuf Zalal. However, I do feel confident enough in Jackson to believe he can produce a finish in this matchup and actually get the second or third round finish. The second step in the Locky Two-Step is going to be Christian Rodriguez as he takes on veteran Julian Arosa. I'm seeing a lot of love for Arosa out there, but I do think that Rodriguez is the truth. I know that Arosa has that unorthodox striking style that could cause problems for a lot of guys, but I think that Rodriguez will use it to his advantage, just as we've seen opponents like Alex Caceres and Fernando Padilla land big shots on Arosa and put him away. I know Rodriguez will be at a height and reach disadvantage in this matchup, but I think we've seen good enough striking from him in the past that he'll be able to crash the pocket and land big shots and big counters on Arosa that I believe will lead to the finish as well. So I do really like Rodriguez to go out there and cash, hopefully being the second step in this Locky Two-Step. Now, earlier this week when I dropped it for the Patreon folks, it was at plus 137. Like I said, some action coming in on Jackson over the last couple of days, and now you can actually get that parlay at plus 140. All right. Let's get to the Locky Trinity now. If you want to complete it, we're going to take a bit of a gamble here with Fatima Klein as she takes on Jazeda in her UFC debut. Klein is one of the hottest women's MMA prospects that we've seen in a long time. She's a double champ over there at CFFC. She has an undefeated record. She's a close training partner of Aaron Blanchfield, and it's been her BJJ black belt that has allowed her to have so much success in her career. She's great with the grind, good with her wrestling. She has an improving striking game, and I think that's going to end up being the difference maker in this matchup. Jazeda, as we've come to know, is a very good grappler as well, but I think Klein is just a little bit better. That doesn't mean that Klein will be enjoying a ton of control time in this matchup. I think we'll see her use it defensively here and then end up landing the better shots on the feet, as we've seen Jazeda a little bit wild and reckless in the striking realm, even though she likes to be the one pushing the pace and moving forward. That should play into Klein's game here, and she could change levels or at least land counters effectively, and I think that would lead to her getting her hand raised on the scorecards. This is another fighter that has gotten reverse CLV'd for us this week, as earlier this week I locked in the parlay at plus 309. However, a ton of action coming in on Jazeda over the last couple of days, and now you can get this parlay at plus 353. So a ton of action coming in on Jazeda, or at least enough to push this parlay up close to 40 points, close to 30 points, or whatever it is. I still think Fatima Klein ends up getting her hand raised. There you guys go. Locky Two-Step, Locky Trinity. I'll be back later today to drop the 3 best prop bets for UFC Denver. I'll see you guys then.